Hello Bama fans! Does Finebaum consider the Alabama-Lsu game a playoff eliminator? But is it really? Let's get to the news, and subscribe to our channel. Few matchups generate as much anticipation as Alabama and LSU, and the upcoming clash, scheduled for November 9th, is already being described as one of the defining moments of the season. Paul Finebaum didn't hesitate to call this game a playoff eliminator. He sees the matchup not just as a battle for victory, but as a true elimination in the race for the college football playoff, and that brings immense pressure to both teams. Alabama comes into the game with a solid defense and an offense that has been gaining confidence. The convincing 34-0 victory over Missouri was a true show of strength. Jam Miller's 2 touchdown runs and a ferocious defense that intercepted Missouri 3 times showed Alabama's resilience and adaptability, especially when its opponent was without its starting quarterback, Brady Cook. It was a big win not only on the scoreboard but also for the team's morale, which Finebaum said is now heading into the bye week with renewed confidence as it prepares to face one of its biggest rivals. On the other hand, LSU's 38-23 loss to Texas A&M revealed some vulnerabilities. Alabama is certainly aware of that. With Aggies quarterback Marcel Reed rushing for 3 touchdowns and a defense that intercepted LSU 3 times, Texas A&M exposed some weaknesses in the Tigers' defense and offense. LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier struggled at the hands of the Aggies' defense, and Finebaum, who had previously been confident in LSU's favor heading into Alabama, is starting to feel the wind shift in the Tide's favor. This shift in perspective is crucial, as it indicates that even pundits recognize Alabama's growth and adaptability in the final stretch of the season. The air is looming over this matchup, and the term playoff eliminator sounds like a wake-up call. The competition in the SEC is relentless, and this game has the potential to define the course of the season for both teams. For Alabama, the opportunity to prove its strength and consistency against such a high-caliber opponent represents much more than a simple victory. It is a chance to reaffirm its position as a powerhouse in college football and take a decisive step toward the long-awaited playoff spot. In the eyes of fans and analysts, Alabama appears to be preparing hard for this matchup, adjusting its game, taking advantage of every opportunity to improve. And while the Tide remains focused and confident, the support from the fans is growing stronger, knowing that the team's performance in this game will be crucial in determining the fate of an entire season. Game on! After Bama's win, DeBoer, usually calm and focused on the sideline, was caught on the ABC broadcast giving a stern lecture to reserve offensive lineman ROQ Montgomery. The unusual moment for DeBoer's leadership style raised questions and brought to light his demanding view of the standard of performance he expects from his players. When discussing the incident at a conference on Monday, DeBoer initially didn't recall the exact situation, but he quickly recalled the context. For him, it wasn't just a matter of an isolated mistake, it was a matter of meeting an expectation that he sets as a standard for all Alabama athletes. Just things that are happening and you just want them to be better, he explained. The intensity and pressure, according to DeBoer, are a reflection of the discipline he demands of each player, regardless of who is on the field. Whether it's a senior or a redshirt freshman like Montgomery, the rule is clear: any opportunity on the field represents a commitment to upholding the program's standards. This game against Missouri had a stake in more than just the final score. A loss could all but eliminate Alabama's chances of making the playoffs. And with a challenging schedule ahead, including a pivotal matchup against LSU on November 9th, the margin for error is slim to none. DeBoer understands that keeping Alabama's ambitions alive requires the team to be on the same page at all times, in games, in practice, and in the smallest details of individual conduct. In explaining his firm stance, DeBoer made it clear that the reprimand was not personal toward Montgomery. ROQ is a great kid, the coach said, emphasizing that his commitment to excellence extends to the entire team. For him, it's about creating a culture where every player, regardless of their playing time or position, internalizes the responsibility to perform at the highest level. It's that kind of mentality that DeBoer is cultivating, one that demands the best from every athlete and refuses to accept anything less than the best, a philosophy that has defined Alabama for years and that now, under DeBoer's leadership, is more alive than ever. This episode reinforces the vision of a coach who knows what he wants and doesn't hesitate to demand it. He understands the pressure and responsibility of keeping Alabama among the top powers in college football, and his leadership, even in the small corrections and adjustments, demonstrates a commitment to elevating the Crimson Tide at every opportunity. Let's keep going. With Cole Adams injured, who suffered a lower extremity injury during the win over Missouri, the Alabama Crimson Tide will need to re-evaluate their punt return for the upcoming games. Head coach Kalen DeBoer, while not providing a specific update on Adams' recovery time, made it clear that the team is prepared to rotate replacements into the punt return role. DeBoer specifically mentioned Ryan Williams and Jalen Backway as the top candidates to take over punt return duties in Adams' absence. According to the coach, the choice will be made based on confidence and situation at the moment, taking into account who seems most comfortable and who has been most consistent during practice this week. Both Williams and Backway have experience returning punts. Williams accumulated 31 yards on 4 returns, while Backway had an impressive 28-yard return against South Florida, demonstrating that the Crimson Tide has reliable and explosive options for that role. Adams' injury occurred while blocking a 4-yard reception by C.J. Dupree when he was hit from behind by a Missouri defender. Adams was helped off the field and was later seen with a boot on his left foot, signaling that he may be out for a while. That means Alabama will have to adapt its punt return game to consider not only Williams and Backway's explosive playmaking ability, but also the consistency and reliability they both demonstrate on the field. DeBoer emphasized that the choice between Williams and Backway will not be fixed, but rather adaptable to the circumstances and needs of the game. The decision to go for an explosive play or simply play safety on the return will depend on what the team deems most strategic in each situation. The Alabama Crimson Tide reaffirmed their identity in physical power in a dominant win over Missouri, and few epitomized that fighting spirit better than veteran captain Tyler Booker. After the 34-0 triumph, Booker detailed on the next round the moment that defined Alabama's victory over the Tigers for him, when, on the third play of the game, a Missouri defender ripped off his helmet. "It didn't hurt at all," Booker said, reflecting on the episode. For him, that moment represented a mental victory over his opponent, a clear sign that he was already ahead in the psychological battle, imposing the physical pace that Alabama maintained throughout the game. That moment was the beginning of a performance that embodied the famous bully ball, the mentality of physical domination imposed by Alabama since the days of Nick Saban, which now, under Kalen DeBoer, remains alive and well. Booker's intensity resonated with his teammates, who responded to the challenge with focus and aggression. Alabama started the game cautiously, taking a 6-0 lead late in the second quarter, but it was at halftime that the team truly took control. With an increasingly physical approach, the Crimson Tide offense took off with a 35-yard drive that culminated in a touchdown by running back Jam Miller, followed by a series of second-half offensive possessions that wore down the Tigers' defense. Booker's physicality and leadership served as fuel, and Alabama finished the game with 3 touchdown drives, forcing 3 defensive turnovers, and racking up 271 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. This solid showing reignited Alabama's college football playoff hopes, reminding fans and coaching staff alike of the power of consistent, focused execution. Under Booker's leadership, who has embodied the team's resilience and determination, Alabama has shown that it is reclaiming its essence, but it knows that the path to success still requires an unwavering mindset and continued hard work. The team returns to the court knowing that to keep its playoff dream alive, it will need to carry that intensity and bully ball spirit into every challenge that comes its way. And look at those who love basketball. Good news! A longtime Alabama basketball legend is making a name for himself in the NBA. Alex Reese's NBA debut with the Oklahoma City Thunder was marked by a special moment that symbolizes the perseverance and passion of an athlete who never gave up on his dream of making it to the league. After an unusual trajectory, marked by a year away from the court and even jobs outside of the sport, Reese earned a spot on the Thunder roster, and on Sunday night, he finally made his mark. In a convincing 128-104 victory over the Atlanta Hawks, Reese scored his first NBA basket, a layup off an offensive rebound, in the final minute of the game. For Reese, that basket was more than just a point on the scoreboard, it was the realization of a dream. It was a dream come true, honestly. "I never thought I would be here," he said, showing humility and gratitude for the moment. The pass to the basket came from Alex Reese, another rookie who missed a three-point attempt and gave Reese the chance to score his first point. The play was quickly celebrated by his teammates, with all-star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander making sure Reese got the ball and point guard Jalen Williams carrying Reese to the press conference, a show of camaraderie and support within the team. Reese's trajectory to this point is remarkable. At Alabama, he was a solid performer, averaging 6.1 points and 3.3 rebounds in 124 games. After a hiatus, Reese returned to basketball and excelled in the Luxembourg Basketball League, averaging an impressive 23.7 points per game in the 2022-23 season. This return drew attention, and he continued his rise in the NBA G League, where he played for Rip City Remix and posted solid averages. His performance in the NBA 2K25 Summer League with the Portland Trail Blazers cemented his reputation as a reliable player, leading to an invitation to the Thunder's training camp. Despite not playing in the first two games of the regular season, Reese stepped onto the court in the final minutes against the Hawks and did what he always dreamed of, making his mark on the NBA. Signed after Isaiah Hartenstein's injury, Reese jumped at the chance and showed that he is prepared to contribute, even in a limited role. For the Thunder, having a player like Reese, who has already demonstrated resilience and versatility, is an asset, especially in a league where every opportunity can be the difference between staying or leaving. Reese's debut with the Thunder is an inspiring reminder of what determination can achieve. Like the Bama players, they are committed to doing their best this year, like this guy who was great at Bama. What do you think? Comment below.